Good afternoon. It's a couple minutes after 12 noon here in New York on Friday, the 21st of November. I'm Jeff Christian of CPM Group. I want to talk about the state of the economy and what it means for precious metals. Before I do that, I'll talk a little bit about the markets. And before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about some history. I was at a meeting last night in the precious metals industry here in New York, and someone pointed out that there is a fellow that we all know who has been pontificating about the imminent collapse of the U.S. economy and the U.S. dollar and the imminent increase of gold to something like $10,000 for decades. I'm going back probably at least to the 80s and maybe even into the 70s. And someone at this meeting last night told me that this would-be guru who's been dead wrong but has an enormous following around the world, has said that he thinks gold has topped off and is going to fall and fall significantly for years. And I said, the guy's been wrong for 45 years or so. Why would anybody pay attention to him? Although I know there are some very significant gold investors who do pay attention to him. And some of them make fun of him and some of them don't. And it reminded me of a situation back in the day. And, here I have our gold price chart through yesterday, and you can see the gold price continuing to be very volatile at a very high record price. And I put up this long-term chart going back to 1980, which happens to have CPM Group's buy and sell recommendations on an intermediate term view. So, from a perspective of an investor with a 3 to 5 year time horizon, would we tell you buy or sell? And the arrows are off a little bit. We started keeping track in December of 1980. And the first thing we said, the price was $5.95, and we were in what was then the deepest recession in the post-war period. And we said, sell. We said buy in the middle of 1982, when the price had gotten down to around 315 or so. And in early 1983, after we got out of that recession, the price had gotten to 420. I think actually had gone even higher, but at 420 we said sell. And then in March of 1986, we issued a buy recommendation when the price had gotten down back to around $346. I think it had actually fallen even further in 1985, but we waited for about a 10% price appreciation before we turned bullish. And I bring that up because a different guru that's been around since at least the 1970s, it was very funny because when the price was 420 and we issued a sell recommendation, he was saying that he thought the price would go back to $850 very shortly. A lot of people were at the time because the price had risen very quickly from $346 or $315 in the middle of 1982 to more than $400 in the first quarter of 1983. I won't go into the details of it. But in that point, when we were saying sell, he was saying buy because the price is going to double in short order. When the price fell to $346, we issued a buy recommendation. And he issued a recommendation to sell, saying that the bull market from 1968 until 1980 was clearly over and the price of gold would not rise again. And yet that guy is here today, still publishing with enormous numbers of people paying attention to him. It's very surprising. Anyway, the gold price continues to be volatile. We're looking at the economy and we're looking at markets, not just precious metals markets, but all markets. And there is an enormous amount of uncertainty going on right now about the state of the economy and not just in the United States, but on a global basis, and the state of markets. And you're seeing this in the stock market, you're seeing it in precious metals, and you're seeing it in other markets as well. Dollar's actually up some. The stock market and precious metals have been moving together. So we saw declines yesterday across them, and we're seeing some recovery today. Earlier this morning, gold prices dropped sharply again. They got down to like $4,018 or so. And they recovered since that time. They're around $4,060 right now. Our expectation is that they're going to continue to bounce around in a volatile fashion for a while. And that has to do with the uncertainties on the economy and the political system, all of which is very scary and very much not knowable. You can look to history and you can say what's going on here and how does it compare to trends and what are the fundamentals of the markets and what's the fundamentals of the economy, and I'll talk about that in a little while. Yeah, and you can have some idea of where things might go, but there's an uncertainty there. You can look at people who have analyzed these things and say, okay, they've been wrong for years, and so I'm going to not pay attention to them. Let's listen to people who have a better track record of a more realistic assessment of economics, politics, and markets. But we're in a situation of great risk and great uncertainties, and consequently great anxieties on the part of everyone, not just investors, but business executives and consumers. Silver prices also continue to vacillate sharply. They fell below $50 earlier this morning. They got down almost to $48. They've come back sharply. They're back over $50, I believe, as I speak here at noon today. Our expectation is that the price is going to continue to be volatile. We don't subscribe to the idea that gold and silver have peaked on a cyclical basis and they're going to fall. It's possible, but we think that the investor anxieties will keep investors buying gold and silver for some period of time, and that'll cause silver and gold prices to rise more sharply over the next several quarters at least. Platinum and palladium, we continue to be much more cautious about it. It's interesting because I pulled up these charts with our buy and sell recommendations, our intermediate term buy and sell recommendations, and it appears that the last time we issued a buy recommendation was around 2018, 2019 for platinum prices. And the platinum price is what we think is above its reasonable trading range right now. So we probably want to issue a sell recommendation on an intermediate term basis. We definitely have issued that on ultra short-term basis and a short-term basis. On an ultra short-term basis, we continue to encourage our clients that are very short-term traders to stand aside, not just with platinum, but also with gold, silver, and palladium. Platinum did fall sharply today. Earlier this morning, it dropped below 1,500. It has sprung back some. And the same situation applies with palladium. Palladium prices dropped very sharply down toward 1,300. They've come back and they're actually up a few dollars as we speak. Turning to the economy, this is real GDP, U.S. real GDP, quarterly data. You can see the gigantic spike down in 2020 and the gigantic spike up in 2021 as we came out of that government-inspired global economic lockdown in reaction to the COVID pandemic. Since that time, we saw a decent recovery for a couple of years, and GDP growth rates have gone back to what you could call a more typical level that is similar to what we saw from 2010 at the end of the Great Recession into 2019. That GDP growth rate basically almost zero, with a couple spikes below zero, including the first quarter of this year. But basically between 0 and say 2.5%, 3%. It's what we've seen for most of that period from 2010 to 2019. And it's most of what we've seen over the last 3 years or so since the economic recovery following the COVID lockdown. Again, we're sort of all flying blind because we don't see data. There is data starting to come out on the U.S. economy now that the government shutdown is over, but it's mostly for September. October data will be the important stuff, and it won't come out for a while. And we're going to look, I'll show you some inflation charts and some unemployment chart in a second. The Fed is going to be meeting in early December, and it's going to be flying blind as well because a lot of that important October data will not have been released until after the Fed meets. There's a growing view in the financial markets, which is what we saw behind the sell-off yesterday in stocks and bonds, primarily. The primary factor there. There's a growing view that the Fed may resist cutting rates further, predicated on the idea that economic activity is stronger than would warrant interest rate cuts. That may not be the case, but the Fed may not see a lot of data that would verify the strength of the economy or suggest continued weakness and deterioration until after that December FOMC meeting. That said, I will repeat something that I don't think a lot of people know. The Fed has the capacity to lower its interest rate or raise its interest rate at any time. It has tended for the last several decades to limit those changes to times when the Federal Open Market Committee is meeting. But the Fed actually has the capacity, which it used to use very frequently prior to, say, the 1980s. It used to be much more common for the Fed to have interim conference calls after which it would change interest rates. That can happen. It hasn't happened maybe once in the last 40 years or so, but it's important to understand that the Fed has tremendous flexibility in managing monetary policy, except insofar as over the last several decades, since the 1980s, actually, the Fed has been held captive in its monetary policies by the need to finance the profligate fiscal policies that we've seen since 1981. And that's going to continue. But the question is, what's going to happen in the fourth quarter? What is happening now in the fourth quarter in terms of overall economic activity and conditions? And what's going to happen in early 2026? Unemployment, basically flat. It's edging itself up. You can see great cyclicality here, and you can see a very close cyclicality to spikes up in the unemployment rate and declines, the spikes up corresponding with recessions, and the declines being much more consistent with economic recovery and expansion, slower than the spikes up. When we get into a recession, companies tend to lay off people and unemployment rise sharply, quickly. And then in the economic recovery, the corporations are much slower to hire people back. So you see this sort of spike and then slope down over and over again. This only goes back to 1947, but it's happened over and over again over the last 80 years. So it's what it is. Unemployment has basically flat in September. We only have data through September. And we got the unemployment rate this week, but we didn't get the employment data on a household basis. We got the employment data on a corporate the hiring basis, and it was 118. That is what long term you would think is suboptimal growth rate in jobs, but it's much higher than people were thinking because of the increased anxieties and uncertainties that people were thinking. There were expectations that employment growth, jobs growth, would be less than that as it had been in August. That didn't happen, and that's one of the factors that's caused financial market participants to think that maybe the Fed will be more reluctant to cut interest rates in December than people have been thinking. I'm not quite sure that that's the case, but as I said, they're going to be flying blind into the FOMC meeting in a couple of weeks. Fed looks at employment and overall economic activity, and it looks at consumer price index and inflation. And the inflation figures also have been problematic. The Fed is supposed to try to limit inflationary pressures while maximizing employment. Those are the two things it's chartered to do. There is a nominal idea that the Fed should target 2% real GDP. That's a kind of a nonsensical thing economically, and it came from a very spurious source many years ago, economists looking at the Australian economy. But we do have inflation around 3%, both on a headline and a core inflation basis right now. And that is considered too high. And there are pockets of inflationary pressures which the Fed and other policymakers have to be worried about. So the Fed has a tough time coming up. It's got to wrestle with whether or not inflation or employment/unemployment is the greater problem. And it's got to make decisions in a vacuum or a relative vacuum of economic data. That's 2 or 3 weeks away. In the interim, financial markets, including gold, silver, platinum, palladium, copper, are and should be expected to vacillate sharply, bouncing back and forth, probably staying in the range that we've seen since the middle of October. That's all I have for today. You can go to our website. You can buy our gold, silver, platinum yearbooks. You can buy a single issue or an annual subscription to our precious metals advisory. We also have a base metals advisory for people who are interested in the 6 metals that are traded on the London Metal Exchange. And you can send us a note at info@cpmgroup.com if you want to talk about ways that we can help you. In the meantime, take care of yourself, take care of those around you, do something good for the world, and we'll talk to you next week.